Everyone, so excited to be here. Day after Christmas, had a tremendous show yesterday. I had one of the best gifts that one could have is bringing the community together to really reflect, review, and more importantly, get excited about the future. So, if what we've done started with no knowledge, no investment, no nothing, and it magnetized what has developed and attracted and maintained and supported those who really want to take advantage of something as great as live streaming. So, with that, this is the Hour of Empower. If it's 11 a.m. Eastern Time every day, we're here. This is a day where we decided, primarily Beverly, that holidays would be an appropriate word, and I fully agreed. Didn't take very much discussion at all, and we decided to make it happen. With that, chat's open. We depend on you for relevance, direction, and we want to learn. So, with that, and whatever you think of holidays, we want to hear too. Beverly, so great to have you. Tuesdays don't come fast enough. And why don't you share a little bit of where you are and your first impressions on holidays?
Well, first of all, first impressions on holidays, right? If you're a woman and it's holidays, it's like, right? We have so much to do, whether it's cooking, cleaning, whatever it is. And I want to commend everybody that's on the screen right now because it's hard. Holidays are great for kids. It's easy and it's fun. And everybody is showering kids with all kinds of gifts and all that stuff. But it's also exhausting. And it's the day after. And here in Canada, we do Boxing Day. I know I've usually over the holidays been in the US a lot, notably in New York. And are there really holidays other than Christmas in New York? No. Okay. It starts up really quickly the next day. And of course, here, Boxing Day means people are going back to the stores, giving away giving back presents, regifting, and keeps on going and keeps on going. So, um, for me, this time of year is a break, but I never can take a complete break because when you're working online, there really isn't any such thing as you see, Dawn, but it's it gives you a time to kind of reflect and do other things and spend time with family, spend time with friends, and spend time with yourself. Give yourself some self-care because you don't have to keep on going through the day to day. And that for me, that break is a holiday. And it doesn't matter for me the festivities around it. What it really is I'm doing something different. And whether I'm traveling and visiting friends, which I've done an awful lot during the holidays, and you're celebrating also other people's holidays. And we have to remember that this month of December is holidays for a lot of people. There's Kwanzaa, and if you're celebrating that, that happens to be an African holiday, and many people in North America celebrate that. There's Hanukkah, there's Christmas, there's winter solstice, where the whole thing really began, where in the winter we just kind of snuggle up, see friends. But the whole thing about holidays, Don, throughout all of it, is giving, gifting, sharing, and being kind to others and reflecting. And so, whatever you're celebrating or not celebrating, I always say just take this time out and go right back to winter solstice where you don't have to rush. It is cold, times are changing, and then pretty soon it's going to get lighter, it's going to kick back, and all our work is going to go right back in a week. So give yourself at least those 7 days right now, and no matter what, just enjoy it. Dawn, what do you think about that?
I think that was just wonderful. covered a lot of emotions, a lot of thoughts, a lot of feelings that people are naturally dealing with. And there's sometimes when there's extreme feelings of happiness and sadness, because holidays remind you of the people who aren't here, right? It's remembering back when the table looked a lot different, when you were the youngest and everybody looked like someone you would never be yourself, right? It was like a million
Exactly.
years away of being that old when you're that young. So I
Exactly.
think, and if you think of the good times and the fun, you shouldn't be missing it. You should be celebrating it.
Mhm.
And if we look at holidays, what's behind or in front of both of whatever you do is celebrate. Why have a holiday that you're not going to celebrate it? Then don't have it, right? If it doesn't mean anything and you don't do anything, then why do you want to create an event around it? But here's what I think is also a key word to holidays is balance. How many
Yes.
people say, "Hey, don't overindulge. Eat good, right? But
Yes.
you don't
Yes.
have to clean the place up." Same thing with drinking. There's a point where it doesn't balance with the crowd or the energy. And if you think or you believe you're there for the people who are creating all this work for themselves, putting themselves under this stress, why wouldn't you come with an olive branch and make the party easier, help clean up, help serve, do something
Yes.
besides come, eat, go? And those are the people that people remember too, looking back, right?
Yes.
The
Yes.
people who didn't bring anything and ate everything and then took home whatever they could. But after a while, they get a character and a personality. And a good hostess or a host would say, "Hey, we got so much anyways. Right? Let them eat. Let them take it home. If it's that big of a deal, after you're done eating it that night, you don't want to see it for a while anyways, most of the time." So I think it's really about you and yourself. And I think the longer picture is make every day a holiday, right? And just celebrate it in its own little way. And that way, no one day is the day, right? If I don't get this on Christmas, I'll be devastated. If I don't meet this
Wow.
person or that person doesn't ask to be with me, you're creating an event around an event when you
Yeah.
can work on the original event. So with that said, because I know we can get talking,
Oh,
let's
for sure. Oh, for sure.
morning, Beverly and Donald. Leslie
Hey, Leslie. Hey.
has really been a quality family member of having our virtual uh, family get-togethers and doing it actually on a daily basis,
Mhm.
right? Because we're celebrating a word, we're celebrating people on the stage, we're celebrating people in the audience. And I think if every day you look at it as a holiday and knowing the next day is another holiday, how disappointed could you be, right? And what happens versus I'm working so hard to this or to get this. And then that's all like struggle and sacrifice. Who needs it? Tanya's here from South Africa. Haven't seen you in
Oh,
a while.
wonderful. Hey, Tanya.
I know
Yeah, it's
Tanya,
been a while.
yeah,
Yeah.
on sales funnels, but the beauty of this, people keep coming back because they like to hear and see the people who are here, right? And we built a community, not just an audience. And it doesn't attract everybody. And it shouldn't, because it is more geared for people who are teachable, are open to change, and really feel they've got something to give. And now they could have the opportunity to go full out in it with people who are doing the same thing. So, anyways, thank you, Tanya. Charles is here from Saskatoon.
Oh, yes. Canadian. Yes.
Oh, no, he's from Hong Kong. He's visiting family for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And actually, he's going to be on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and he suggested beginnings. Charles has been a big fan for longer than I can remember. And it's contributed so much. And actually, since Charles is here, he was responsible for the word of the day. So he was the one who said, because he was appearing the next day, how about if we do a word? Because Charles is involved with the largest English speaking school system in Hong Kong. So about 32,000 kids. Very, very, if you don't know Charles, this is a wonderful gift. Glad to be back down in Beverly. Glad to have you, Tanya. And who do we have? Kelly. But
Of course. Hey, Kelly.
gifts anybody could have on Christmas. And actually, Kelly's going to be with Charles New Year's Eve and New Year's Day and this Thursday and this Friday. So really getting us a streak going because we're really on a fast start to next year.
Yeah.
You know, this was a learning year, a growing year, a meeting year. Next year, let's see what we can do now, right? We got the trust, and everything under control. And, you know, wouldn't it be great? And I believe it will when people who we just met next year are doing some amazing things because they were always worthy of it, never had the easy access or the desire to spend a lot of money or time to build something versus, hey, just show up, grab a mic, say what's on your mind, and hope out of a billion people, there's a few who like what you got to say. Take a break is what the masses do. It's an edge to do some business during this time. You know, and if you engage something properly, then it stays usually proper, right? If you don't set expectations too high, if you don't get upset so easily, if you become the better person for a while, you know, play through something, don't try to go, you know, to make a mess. Anyways, Leslie says, well, we just saw that. Charles comes back with, take it easy and leave plenty of room to relax. Hannah Kelly, parenting lifestyle expert. I love when Charles always credit too. You know, I celebrate Christmas with my immediate family, just my children and spouse, and now I'm headed to New York to see the extended family. Well, good luck, Christine, because I know it's always a challenge, you know, so I know you'll come back next week and tell us what a wonderful time you had and how everything changed in a way you never could have imagined. Carl missed yesterday. We sent a letter out to celebrate Christmas with my family, back to work today. Carl's just a wonderful, bubbly individual. Launched a newsletter about 6 weeks ago, give or take 4 weeks. Is growing every day. I look at it, 10, 15 new people. And Carl's involved with raising capital, you know, crowdsourcing, all that stuff. So very valuable. With that, Beverly, we've got momentum here.
Yeah, there's so much. I'm in the comments and everywhere else, and people are. I'd like to go back actually to Leslie's comment where, you know, she says it's holidays. Holidays are for the masses. I love that. And we can still do business during the holidays. I think yes, you can do business depending on what you're doing. If you have kids or whatever it is, you know, you have to balance it. And this is where I think holidays are so helpful because yeah, you have to do some business too. Like Carl was saying, he's right back to business 100%. It depends on what you do. And I know for what I do online, am I doing business? I hate even calling it business. I have so much fun working the way I do. I love it. And so I just am keeping up and doing things I wouldn't have time to do because other people are on holiday. So what you're doing is you're just kind of giving yourself that break to catch up on yourself, if that makes any sense. And having time to see people that perhaps during the year you don't have time to see. So that is what that little break in the year does for me. But everybody has to do this differently for themselves. And what you also said, Dawn, about people feeling this emotion over the holidays. Wow. That's something. And that goes back to that Norman Rockwell picture of the family around the table with the turkey, and everything is so beautiful. The perfect family Christmas or the perfect family holiday. There is so no such thing as perfect. And when we have this ideal, that's when we can start feeling bad. And when we miss that ideal family Christmas or try to create that ideal family Christmas, that is when your heart goes out and you bleed and you feel, I don't have this, I miss that, I miss all that good. And when you think about it, everything was never perfect. It never was. But when we think of the ideal or we're trying to create the ideal, that's where the struggle is. And I'm thinking of some comments on NPR that I heard where they were talking about family and talking about family Christmas. And he says, when I went to family Christmases, oh, it was so much fun. All the adults were screaming and yelling. And there was like once my uncle actually kicked the wall and broke his foot. And as I grew older, that was not fun. They were all a bunch of drunken adults, and I didn't see that. And so, and and this one hated that one, and that one brought food. And he says, I have avoided that like the plague. I will come on my terms and see the people I want to see. And that we have to remember too. As a kid, we have a different perception. And it may be good, it may be bad, whatever it is, you can always create your holiday, your own holiday that works for you. And not to go back and look at what may be an ideal, because nothing was really ideal. It was ideal for them, maybe, who knows, or maybe they were struggling too. But whatever it is, make it right for you. And so, to your point, Leslie, yes, if working is what you want to do or have to do, hey, go for it. And anything you want to do over these holidays, make it right for you. And yeah, no regrets, Don. That's I think my point. No regrets. Nothing can be perfect. Just have a good time. Make it good for you.
Yeah, and I think that's so uh, profound in a sense because if it is a holiday, it's your holiday to choose how you celebrate it, right? And part of that is who you celebrate it with.
Mhm.
And, to Christine's point, having it just with your spouse and your kids and that's it, right? Is more intimate. It's
Mhm.
more shared instead
Mhm.
of having a circus going on. How many times, does the person who hosts it never enjoy it,
Mhm.
never get a chance to talk to anybody? It was so busy preparing, serving, making sure everything's everything, saying goodbye to people, introduce. I mean, and actually, what I would say is get some help at times, right? I mean, you spend all this money, all this time, all this thought. Why not spend that extra to be part of it, to sit down at the table? How many people say, stop it already, come sit down, eat,
Yes.
right? It's
Yes.
getting cold. And everybody's getting frustrated with you in a sense because it's like, it's not fun if you're not here, right? So, anyways, that's one thing. The other thing I look at is Beverly's right. Some people look at the same family they grew up in, right? Siblings. And later on, one sees a whole different everything. And the other person saw the other thing. Every holiday they were excited, and every holiday the other person wasn't. So it's really what you choose to take with you and what you choose to leave behind that will better serve you. I mean, every relative had their quirks, but they all had their certain cool things,
Mhm.
right? Could have been how they talked, it could have been how they joked, could have been anything. And I'm saying if you look at like I'll pick that up and make that my mosaic, versus bring all this resentment, anger, frustration, blame, it's going backwards. And so, the next holiday is yours to do a new holiday with, right? Start with a new sheet of paper and say, well, what do we love doing? What holiday turns us on? Some people, it's St. Patrick's Day, right?
Oh, that's everyone's Irish then.
And actually, Anne was born on St. Patrick's Day,
There
so
you go.
lucky in a couple ways. But that's really what I'd say is take control of your own happiness. And holidays and life was meant for living, right?
Mhm.
So how are you living your life? And why accept anything less than what you know you deserve and can get, right? Being fair is unfair sometimes. Because if you have, let's say, 6 family members and everybody gets along great, but that seventh one, if you bring that person in, it's going to change the whole dynamic. But if you don't bring that person in, now
He has to come.
guilt and the message.
Yeah, yeah.
But what that says is there's probably been a flawed communication channel all this time, right? People have been seeing and experiencing and not saying for the same reason. Don't want to hurt their feelings. I know how it's going to go, or they're old. Hey, we don't want to put them over the edge, whatever it is. But let's get to Charles. Take it easy and leave plenty of room to relax. I think we covered that. I moved up and down.
Yeah, Carl put a good Mark Twain quote in there.
Okay. Okay.
That was a good one. Can you find it?
Okay, here
Oh
we go.
yeah, he said, "The older I get." Yeah.
The more clear I remember things that never happened.
Yes.
And here's one more thing you realize. Things change. So when like Anne was responsible for all the family stuff, now our daughter Susie takes it over.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right? And now all we got to know is when do you need us and what do you want us to do, if anything?
Hmm.
And usually it's like, don't do anything. Right.
Right.
And that makes it fun. So what it really says is in the beginning, like Beverly says, as a kid, you think the world's a circus. Everything was meant to be there for you.
Yeah.
And as you grow through it, you start to see through real lens of who these people are. But then you move away from it and you become like, I just come here to have fun. I don't have to do anything. People go out of their way to be nice and
Exactly.
sit with you. So it does, if you give it time, it does come around. So Beverly,
Yeah. Something I thought of also. Um, Alcohol. Alcohol. Um, if you're trying to stop drinking at this time, this is a really, really difficult time of year for people who have to go to family where the tension is there to start with, because every family comes with tension. And there is alcohol in there. And so the first thing they have to do is be very aware. Remember, you were saying the holidays you have to create for yourself. Well, it's really easy. Here's a tip too. From going to all the holidays over the years what exactly is going to happen, because it's not going to change as much as you would like it to. Your mother is your mother, your father is your father, sister, sister, brother, brother. But you don't have to react the same way you always do to all these people. So what you have to do really, and what a technique that I tell a lot of people is take a look at the sitcom. And I mean it. When you're watching a sitcom, right, there are these characters. Well, in your own life, there are these characters too. They're not going to change. They have their script. You're the one that gets right into the sitcom and plays your own script, right? So, what you have to do is change the script by coming at an appropriate time, leaving at appropriate time, knowing when enough is enough. All that stuff is so important to take care of yourself. That's self care. And as soon as you have 2 glasses of that alcohol, let me tell you, your brain is very fuzzy and you're going to go right back into that old script. So, what you have to do is stay away, be cautious that you're in a volatile environment. And that can be a volatile environment with friends, some of which you love very dearly, but some which will turn you off completely. You have to take care of yourself, not just go with the flow because you should, that should word, that everybody else is doing it and everybody is expecting me, if I'm not a nice guy or a nice person, to go along with this, that, who am I? They're going to judge me. No. What you do is change the script. And by the way, like you said, create your own tradition. A holiday is only a tradition like it always was, right? Because you're following it. So if your tradition is, oh, I have a funny story, Dawn. We can go on and on. I have a funny story. When I stopped eating meat and my husband stopped eating meat, we became vegetarians, but we still eat cheese and fish. However, back in those days, I changed it, and it used to be turkey. And I used to make the turkey and the stuffing and the whole thing, right? Everybody used to come, and it was easy in comparison to when you're a vegetarian and you have to make all these other dishes. Well, a big one would be lasagnas, right? Because you could feed a multitude with lasagnas, not a problem. So I did it the first year and everybody loved it. And then I did it the second year and it just became what I did, right? Well, I did it for maybe 2 or 3 years. My daughter was teaching and she was a junior teacher. And since I had worked up in the north in the Arctic, I suggested she do that. It's a great experience. And she did that for a few months. And she was teaching kids in the high north, and they were talking about holiday traditions. And so what she said was, in her holiday tradition, her mother makes lasagna. And I just thought, what? And I only did this 2 times. And she grew up with the turkey. And it was the funniest thing. There you go. You do something 2 times and it becomes a tradition. So if it's that easy to change a tradition, I want everybody to consider make your own tradition. It doesn't matter what. So there you go.
Well,
Don?
I think that's well put. When I look at holidays and what you mentioned about change your script, sometimes you got to change your role,
Mhm.
right? Sometimes you got to say, I got to be the straight person here. But you know what I learned over time is ask yourself, why are these people engaging you this way? And it happens every year. And then ask yourself what typically fast forwards into. And you already know it. So in most cases, I thought they just want to either be heard and they want to win. They want their point to be accepted or their way of being interpreted is good. And I would concede early,
Yeah.
right? If this
Yeah.
is really important to you, I really don't think much of it. So yeah, let's I'm with you. Good luck, right? There's nothing more to it. No one's asking for your car keys.
Exactly.
And I never had an issue in my family with relatives because it was a day of, for me, eating and having fun with my cousins and being around my grandparents. And that was my whole schedule. Anybody who would bring me off of that, I would just say, fine, and then you slowly gravitate to the circle that you've been waiting for. I used to always love the kitchen because it was all my aunts and all my grandparents and older aunts and uncles, and everybody would feed me. They always looked at me like somebody who needed something from them that they could give easily, which was a cookie or something like that. And that was understanding that group is watching football and smoking and talking about some stuff, and this group is having a good time with each other. So, that's what you have to look at. It's just like if you go to a mall. I know nobody goes to malls anymore like it used to on holidays, but you choose what stores you go into, right? You go there for the 2, 3 stores. You're not sitting there for every store walking in, walking out. And the same thing with family. And after a while, people know that you don't want to fight and you're no fun anymore. They look at the next person to argue with. I mean, because that's what most of those people sometimes are. But before we get too close into this, Leslie says, in a flash Christmas Eve, I realized as I sat poop full and sleepy that this was my 50th Christmas Eve with my family. And you know what? It's so nice to have a family, right? Whatever family, because it's a connection. It's a conduit to somebody else or somewhere else. And, they all have value. And, if you only got to deal with them for a day or a meal, and everybody knows what's going on and dealing with it the same way, it's not that big of a deal. That's why they usually call that eccentric, right? As that person is eccentric because you can't really figure them out. And they're unpredictable. But as long as it doesn't border on anything violent or abusive, then it's just conversation, right? Potato, tomato, tomato. 98% of the stuff can be defined in that way. Charles says the risk of Christmas, Thanksgiving, and other big holidays is that they creep up on people. Life is so busy for many people that the holidays come and go, creating a hit and run effect. That's why it's so important to stop, pause, be still, and appreciate the special moments. Carl comes back with, that was Mark Twain's quote. We acknowledge that. Very nice. Dennis, agree holidays are so much better than holidays. Time to enjoy your time to rhyme. Thanks for chiming in is what I say every day. And, it is what you're doing, Dennis and Carl and Charles, is why wouldn't you want to open up the conversation with something good to someone? And maybe that might change what they were about to say to you. I mean, it's so great to see you, Jim. I mean, last time we talked, I was so excited by what you were doing or whatever. I mean, however you started. But if you're the person handing out gifts of goodwill when you open the door, that really does surpass the gifts you give that don't have a lot of sincerity, are done out of obligation, or reciprocal nature. And I think the key to any holiday is getting the feeling for the holiday. Whether you say St. Patrick's Day, you could feel Irish for a day, right? You can adopt any holiday. And then even if it's not the holiday, the tradition, the meal, whatever you want, you can make Thanksgiving, hey, I'm going to have a turkey dinner, and that's my celebration. Right? And why not? Dennis says, agree, every relative is relative based on how you remember them. Kimberly's going to be on the show. Good morning from Chicago. Nice to have you, Kimberly. Christine, who I think speaks for so many people because she's involved in so many things at the same time. There's also coming full circle. There's forgiveness. We all have our flaws. Some people are sicker than others. Yeah, being the better person goes a long way. Not trying to get 50-50. Say, hey, if you're really there for your family, with your family, what element are you in the dynamic of it? Are you the fence mender, or are you the antagonizer, or the judge and the jury? And how comfortable is that? Why would you go to a party where you're looking to have fun, loosen up, and they get all caught up in something and riled up, and all of a sudden you're an embarrassment to yourself and the people around you, and then everybody feels, I mean, it's like a Chevy Chase, if you saw, Christmas Vacation, what he went through with that family. Here we go with Dr. Tanya Farran. Haven't seen you. Hopefully I spoke your name properly. Always good to see new faces and new voices. Agreed. We need to know when to leave and when just to leave. Yeah, always leave earlier than later.
Yeah, that's a good
Wish
one.
they had more time with you than they're counting the minutes of what are they waiting for? You know,
Yeah, that's a good point, Don. Yes, leave earlier than later. Let them not kick you out. You don't have to start vacuuming to get them out the door.
well, the extra minute you stay later will be the minute you never see again, also. So you get a return visit if you're not a burden. Thank you. Leslie comes back with changing roles, context, competence. Yeah, that's why Leslie, Beverly, there's so many wonderful minds here who could help people beyond the holidays, because the techniques, the strategies, the mindset you gain that saves holidays, saves every day. The way you approach business, the way you approach friends, right? Why not be that moderating, happy person who doesn't bring their stuff to the party? When you get dressed up, really you're getting cleaned up. And why not come the cleanest you can with the best intent, humor, everything? Go out, knock yourself out, because you know what? You're not going to have a lot of competition. You know, you'll be
Good
able to
point.
play the one who wins the day, and you will stick in people's minds just like that lasagna is. You'll stand out in a good way versus standing out in a bad way. And then you feel bad the next day when you overindulge and someone tells you what you said and what you did and who you became. So it's a lose-lose situation. Here we go with changing script, reframe, repeat excessively, and pride yourself in doing things that were a little more challenging than you thought.
Yeah.
But you worked through them, you played through them, and sometimes you just modified a losing situation to be less losing, right? So it's the degree you can move the needle sometimes. Agree, sometimes we do have to change our role to stay on a happy roll. Dr. Tanya's now putting out comments. That's great. I'm sorry I was late to join. Tell me about the word of the day. Gifts? No, it's
No,
it's
it says gifts though. It's holiday.
yeah, and I did change it, and I checked it, but it doesn't change. So, oh, Rita's here. Rita's one of
Hey, Rita.
my faves. She's been on 22 shows. She counted it, and I found out this year. Been a great person for introductions, and is really out there trying to do a lot to help a lot of people in the right way. So thanks for showing up, Rita. We'll have Rita back pretty soon. Omar came on for the second time just a few days ago. I was on a Zoom party show, and that was a lot of fun. And I actually won for charity. It was all about that. So that was great. Thank you, Omar. Kimberly comes back with a good point down. What role are you playing in the family dance? Yeah, and I want to recognize also Kelly for the awesome journey that's tomorrow and promote her show. And Harvey has the franchise show tomorrow. So, we're kind of like co-promoting, co-sponsoring, giving everybody, including ourselves, a leg up. And who wouldn't you want to be around? And 8 or 9 people are giving all these wonderful ideas on how to deal with some challenging issues. And if you can make your life, and especially your family's life, so much better because of learning a strategy, learning when not to say something, whatever it is, there's hope, right? When you have new insights and new ideas and ways of doing things, there's hope that this could be it, right? And it's also showing I can change, I can evolve. There's a saying, for things to change, you have to change, And so, Beverly, what a group.
Okay, yes, it's a great group, and people keep on coming, and it's wonderful, wonderful. Back to holidays. Well, before the holidays, I'm just going to say New Year's is coming real quick, and I am also doing it's a free workshop. It's tomorrow. If anyone wants the link to get in to get the Zoom link, all you have to do, it's 1 hour. It's at 12 o'clock. and it's a reset for you. No sales, nothing like that, just strictly success for yourself to be able to reset yourself and put a whole projection for yourself, what you want to be, where you are, and get yourself exactly in focus. Because as the year just starts, we lose that focus. And so, specifically, because it's a slow week this week, I put in that 1 hour. If you want to come in, by all means, put the link in the chat as soon as I get off, and yeah, just come on in. And back to holidays, and back to all kinds of feelings in the holidays. Going back to what you said about loss, Dawn, it's hard. Many people have lost family members, and they have to suck it up over the holidays and pretend that they're happy, and they're really not. And they are looking at the good. They really are. And they're really trying. But there's a broken heart there. And we have to really understand other people's pain. There could be bankruptcy losses. There could be not only family conflict, but the feeling that I'm not 100%. And I wish I could be 100%. And I'm here. And so just being there is enough for those people. It's more than enough. And to try to understand that loss is so huge during a holiday season when we all are supposed to be festive and getting along with other people and being happy. And there's so many reasons that this particular person is not happy, and to be understanding is huge too. And to be understanding that maybe this year they don't want to come to that festive activity, that it is enough, and not to push. It can be an invite that is their choice, not to say, oh, come on, it's going to be really great. You'll have a good time. Maybe it's just enough for that person to get up in the morning. So I think to be understanding and considerate that not everybody should be there and not everybody will love it, and to give somebody the space that they need is the best gift in the world that you could give somebody, just understanding.
Well,
And so
that's
thank you for
beautiful, because I know everybody is dealing with something.
Yeah.
It's a health issue. It's a family member's issue. It's a career or financial issue, and maybe it's a little bit and a lot of every part of that. And that's even more reason to be kinder, to give more credit when you really don't see the whole picture yet, just in case, right? Why pull the trigger until at least you know what you're shooting at or shooting for, versus knowing that you feel better when that party becomes more fun, where it gets more exciting. The best parties were the laughter parties.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember being around family, I had these great aunts, and they're all heavy. They lived to be 100, but they're all big and heavy, right? And they would get to laughing. They were sisters or whatever, and they couldn't talk anymore. They were crying. They were laughing, and everybody's like, "Oh, don't! You're going to have a heart attack. Stop! Let's slow down here." But that was really the party, was laughter and eating and more eating. It started when you got there, and it didn't end until
Never stopped. Yes.
dessert and coffee and this. It was a whole deal. But those were the parties you couldn't wait, because some people are fortunate. They have families where everybody's respectful. Everybody's thoughtful. Everybody got dressed up. The kids were made to be seen and not heard. Older people were revered, and respected. And I think that's something you carry with you, right? If you grow up with those kinds of experiences, you believe that that's connected to that.
Right.
right? And
Right.
if you grow up where it's all kinds of crazy stuff, it's like, why don't, you get conditioned in a sense that, oh, once you hear Halloween, oh, this is terrible, right? So when everybody gets scared. But let me go back to, I don't know where I left off, but I'll start here.
Oh,
Good.
there's some very good ones here. Yes.
Yeah. What are you playing in the family dance? Omar and Kimberly know it's good to see you. Dr. Tanya says, gotcha, no worries. Kimberly comes back with, yes, people are going through so many challenges during the holidays. And that's one more reason to insulate yourself with the people who support you, who celebrate you. The world has never been more chaotic. Things are happening, and things are happening that you never thought would or could happen. And just a news story creates a mentality, right? Everybody could shift tomorrow. And so, how do you hold on to yourself? How do you find a safe harbor? Who do you spend time with and say, hey, it gives me something to look forward to? And I think the hardest thing about the holidays for a lot of people is they think and they believe the parade just passed them by, right? They've seen the best and now they're in for what comes with it. And most people think that, especially as you get older, that your best work, your best life has been lived. It's not over, but and now you're going to have to adapting to who you have to be because that's who you are. But what happens when you get that new chance, right? That new cure, that new friend, right? What suffered because of loss can be re-supported by gain, right? Knowing there's someone just like you who needs somebody just like you. It could be for business, it could be for a hobby. And I think, the advice I would give during lonely times is don't be alone. Volunteer, go out and go to Toastmasters, something like that, or join a church or a congregation or a service, because you'll see other people just like you. And that's a community one could benefit from. So, just a thought, want to send that out for the holidays. Forgiveness has my ex-husband, his new wife with us Christmas Eve. It took 15 years to heal and forgive. And, forgiveness is for yourself, not so much for the other person. That other person doesn't know if you forgive them or not. That's something you carry, right? When you decide to forgive that person, in a way, you're saying, I'm moving on. I'm not going to keep carrying that into the future, which then affects the future. It's excess baggage in a sense if it's not serving you. Hey, Kimberly, Omar, Dennis, Carl, happy holidays, happy New Year's. Leslie can't hold it. She's
Coming in.
out there sharing. And actually, Beverly, what I would suggest is put the link to tomorrow's show in the in the comments of this post.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to, then they can go to that. And actually, I'd suggest if anybody wants to get an invite or something direct from Beverly, just send Beverly, message her saying, hey, I'd like to get the link. Or
I don't know where to put it.
No,
I have to do that later, right?
Yeah, because you could put type a message in on the bottom of the comments and see if it'll take a link. Sometimes it won't take a link, but what you do is go to my post.
I will.
And then
I'll
put it in comments and then put that, and then everybody here can go to the post.
Absolutely. Because I just copied and put it in the private chat. That'll be between you and me, but no one else. Okay.
But yeah, and I think it's worthwhile to check out Beverly's show. I know it's for your good.
Yeah. And that's basically it's a live show, but it is my podcast, which is being streamed as well. And that'll be every Thursday, not this week, Thursday at noon. starting again in January. So the first week of January. And who's coming on? Of course, it will be, oh my gosh, guess what? I forgot, but she's one of our people. Catherine. So
Yeah.
sorry, Catherine. Catherine Chadwick. Okay. And yes, and Leslie, if you go through the shows on Spotify or Apple, Leslie has a wonderful show. She's in there and she has, you will know her story and you will know how fantastic Leslie really is. And when she said she had to let go after 15 years of, there's reason. So check out her show on Apple. Aging with Purpose and Passion, by the way, all of us. But
Yeah.
Don, I want to get back before we get into it. You mentioned something that's super, which is volunteer. When you give to other people, you feel good, period. And all these holidays are really about giving back and charity for others and doing for others. And so, whether you're giving a small present, or whether you're contributing to a food bank, or whether you're working in a food bank, or whether you're going to a soup kitchen, which are all necessary right now, do something and you will feel better. Get out of yourself. And the more we do that, particularly when we're not feeling good, how surprising it is when we get out of ourselves and just start thinking differently, that other people have less. And so many people are not complaining, even though they have they're so deprived. So yeah, that was a wonderful thing. I just wanted to go check back on that one because it's really important right now. All the services need somebody. They all need even blood banks. Everybody's low right now at this time of year because people are on vacation. So, giving in all kinds of ways. People are out there and they need it. So back
Well,
to you.
and I think that's maybe how one can translate or define what a gift is.
Mhm.
And most people look at it from a material standpoint versus, hey, they sat with this person for an hour, they brought this person lunch, right? That couldn't get out. Or, there's a lot of people who form their own little groups. I know my wife has a lady who's, not doing well, and every one of the girls every day makes a meal and eats lunch with her, right?
Lovely.
And it's easy because you're going to be eating lunch anyways. If you made lunch for two and you get out of the house, right? You get into somebody else's life and you see their eyes and their feelings when you leave them, because
Mhm.
nobody wants to feel deserted. Nobody wants to feel marginalized or minimalized or not getting their voice to be respected and heard. And I think live streaming, I mean, Beverly shows, Leslie has Think and Grow Rich on Fridays, Mind Over Matter on Mondays. My whole focus is getting people on their own shows now. My show is like an aircraft carrier because it's working on its own that way. So why not focus and get people as smart and as good, just like we're talking about how to deal with holidays, how to
Mhm.
deal with people during holidays. Well, how to deal with your live streaming or not. No one should be deprived of a voice when there's an open mic waiting to be held.
Mhm.
And you get
And,
better, right? As you get
and,
more.
and yeah, and I have to also mention, Dawn, yes, you're giving people the opportunity to express themselves. And fear of speaking is one of the top fears, if not the top fear out there, because you're judged. You're putting yourself out there. And so if you have that fear, take advantage of Dawn's show. Because let me tell you, clicking that button, Dawn will do it. You don't have to do it. and and then guess what? You're on. And then guess what? So what? That's the point. Okay. So give yourself that opportunity. Step up to the plate for yourself and much like this is the new year, and I tell everybody, the new year, what is your gift to you? Where do you want to go for you? That's the thing. And that's why when I do this free course, you just take a look at that for the hour. Where do I want to go and set that up? It's the same thing on this live show. Where do you want to go? Are you afraid of public speaking? Are you afraid of doing a live? Are you afraid? Biggest fear. So don't worry, you're not alone. Okay. And so once you step up and learn it, you just realize it oh so doesn't matter. You're just talking to friends. And same thing when I did my own radio show, I was just talking to a microphone. And, and then when I was told by people that were saying, oh, I loved your show and total strangers. Oh, wow, you're Beverly Glazer. It's like, oh my gosh, they were listening. It's like, that's the thing. Okay. It so doesn't matter. So take advantage. Don is out there. He's been doing it 365 days plus, plus, plus. So yeah, he's committed.
Well, I see something here that makes me want to do it every day and do it with the people here every day. So it's definitely a reciprocal relationship. And here's what everybody has to appreciate. You're already on LinkedIn. You already chose to be on a professional social network, right? You chose to post, comment, like whatever you do here. Well, that's a way of expressing your voice, but do you want it to be expressed with 8 lines of text that very few people will see or really understand the real you? If you're going to communicate, the you is what people want to hear, not the what or the what do you do. Everybody wants to know who you are before they even think about what you do or anything about you. So if you introduce yourself, right? Nobody has an issue sitting down at coffee with someone and just saying, hey, I'm Jim, you're Joe, great to meet you. What's going on? And the nice thing, and I think it wasn't by purpose, but it turned out to be, is I'm so comfortable here. I don't do any homework. I couldn't. That would be 7 times that every day. And anybody who comes on and just wants to sit and enjoy the ride and pick out a comment, because there's no pressure, there's no script. You can decide to be anything or everybody you always wanted to be for the first time. If you ever move to a new school or a new town, right? And everybody who knew you at your last school, no one knows who you were or had any experience with you. So it's a way of saying, hey, why not bring the new me? And what's fun is when you have other people hear your voice, you hear your own voice louder and clearer. And all of a sudden, it means something, not only to you, but other people, right? And if you say, wow, that's a talent, and it is, and it's something you can polish. You don't pick up a violin and be a maestro overnight. But let me get back to some of these comments or we'll time out. Charles says, be patient with yourself. Self-growth is tender. It's holy ground. There's no greater investment. Stephen Covey.
Yeah.
The earlier one I didn't mention, it's also important to manage your own personal expectations. If you find yourself in holidays with a major life event having just happened, it comes back with keep good company, read good books, love good things, and cultivate soul and body as faithfully as you can. Yeah, you want yourself to be as good and as strong, as healthy for as long as you can. Do the good things. When you give to people who have less, you realize how much you have. Gratitude gives you more to be grateful for. So true. Grateful for you. And then Christine comes up with, I have a cousin who has lost her parents and divorced, didn't have children. She feels really lonely. However, she was invited to a party and refused to try because she is shy. I told her to put herself out there and just stop by, even for dessert. And that's so important, Christine, because some people, all they can do is a little, if that. Don't make it harder. And actually, I always say, pick the person up and take them. Hey, if you're a little shy and you're not feeling comfortable, I'll go with you, and I hear they serve some good food there. You can help the process by being part of it. Grateful for Christine. Uh, yeah, we just saw that. Nicholas, new name. Greetings from Ghana. Well,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Hey.
glad to make an impact. I'm sure holidays are just as interesting over there as here. Dennis says, agree means something, don't just mean. And, how do you want to be remembered? Life's so short. Did you want to be the person that majored in the minors, that was difficult, that was whatever? And there was no need for it. There's days where you're happy. Just replicate some of that when you're with someone else. Practice it. Find yourself as a challenge to make myself a better person here, and don't drink too much. Don't argue too much, don't do anything too much,
Yeah.
except maybe give and support. And, I know one thing, people who volunteer to do things are so revered. I'll come an hour early. I'll help you set up the chairs.
Mhm.
Or I'll do the table with you. Or, hey, when it's over, I want to spend an hour talking with you and cleaning up with you. That gives that host or hostess so much more going for them. That's the best gift you can give. And if everybody does a little bit more, can you imagine altogether what all that little more does? And you know what it means? I can't wait for your next party. Some people throw parties you just can't wait for. And in a sense,
Mhm.
this is a party that happens every day, and a celebration of a word, a person, an event, or a hope, right? If everybody keeps hope alive, it has a burning desire to be everything they can with what they have where they're at. And I think that's important. Everything is relative and conditional. Yeah, 30 years ago, I was I could do things I couldn't do. And 30 years later, I'm smart enough not to do certain things I used to do. So, there's a give and take to it. And you say to yourself, I'm in a comfortable spot, right? Whatever
Yeah.
it is, to whoever it is, you've survived everything to get to this moment in time, that you can choose the next moment in time to be the best moment. And I think that's what people have to do. It's in the books. Whatever was isn't going to change. I spend more time adding to it and living it, or I could enjoy it, celebrate it. Because here's the other last thing I'll say is, only through the dark times did you get to really appreciate the light. Only through the struggles did you feel the strength of resiliency and perseverance. So, what was the saying? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, has some relativity. So, Beverly, I know we're a minute or two over. What's your final thoughts on holiday? This is
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I think, yeah, it's been just wonderful. I didn't think that too many people would be out and about and online, and everybody seems to be, and it's just terrific to get this community. And Don, that's all you're doing. And I want everybody to be left with just a couple of tips. These holidays, this week is for you. So you have to A, set boundaries. And if you don't like the old traditions, create new traditions. Think of my lasagna, which has become a tradition. Okay. Who created that? I'm not Italian. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter. Seek quiet time if you need it. Not everybody's an extrovert. Some people just want to be left alone. Find your space and connect with like minded people. You don't have to be one of the crowd. That popularity thing, that was high school. Leave it back then. Be yourself and just enjoy whatever the holidays mean to you. That's all I have to say, other than happy holidays to everybody and particularly to you, Don.
Well, thank you, Beverly. It's always a wonderful opportunity to have a meeting of the minds, sharing of words and definitions. and really given with the positive intent of helping, healing, providing hope and opportunity, and believing in second chances, and looking forward instead of backward. So to everybody, have a wonderful day. I'm sure you're probably dealing with leftovers. So have fun with those again. And we'll see you tomorrow. Feel free to drop in. Also, feel free to check out Beverly's free event.
I'll put that down.
And next week or the next day, come here and tell us how it went. So with that said, thank you again, Beverly. Thank you.
Thank